They underestimated her, until she brought the CEO's empire crashing down. They laughed at her. Every time she entered the boardroom to clean, their smug faces broke into whispers and chuckles. To them, she was invisible, just a cleaning lady, a nobody. But what they didn't know was that the same woman pushing a mop and wearing that faded uniform held more power than anyone could imagine. She wasn't just cleaning the boardroom. She was preparing to shatter the foundation of everything they'd built. By the end, this unwavering figure would bring the mighty CEO, Martin Steele, and his empire crumbling down in the most public and sensational way imaginable. Before we uncover the jaw-dropping details of how a humble cleaning lady orchestrated the ultimate takedown, make sure you subscribe to our channel. Don't miss incredible stories like this one that are guaranteed to leave you speechless. And while you're here, tell us where you're watching from in the comments below. We'd love to know which part of the world you're tuning in from. Now picture this: a multinational corporation, at its peak a giant that seemed untouchable. Its boardroom was a sanctum of power, where towering egos gathered around a pristine table, the air thick with deals worth millions. Martin Steele ruled this sanctum, seated at the head of the table as if it were a throne. A man dressed in sharp tailored suits, his every gesture exuded dominance. But ruling with iron fists also blinded him. He believed he was untouchable, dismissing those under him as tools to be used, discarded, or mocked. Among those overlooked was Lisa Morales, the cleaning lady, a woman who entered the company quietly every evening armed with her mop, latex gloves, and composure. To the board members, executives, and employees, she wasn't worth noticing. She was part of the scenery, a necessary service, and nothing more. But Lisa wasn't just anyone. Beneath her quiet demeanor lay a brilliance many would envy if they only knew. Once upon a time, she was chasing dreams of her own. Lisa had been a financial analyst with a sharp eye for numbers and a knack for solving the most complex problems. She had a promising career ahead of her, and then life happened. Years before, Lisa had walked into corporate offices not to clean, but to lead projects, analyze market trends, and run numbers others couldn't. She had been a rising star in finance, attending exclusive conferences and crafting solutions that gained her recognition. But in her late 20s, her world was turned upside down when her newborn son's health took a sudden turn for the worse. The news was devastating: a rare condition that required year-round care, routine hospital visits, and overwhelming medical expenses. Faced with a cruel choice, Lisa left her job. Her child came first. What followed were long years of financial instability, single motherhood, and relentless sacrifice. When she could finally re-enter the workforce, the world had moved on. Employers didn't see her history as an advantage. All they saw was a gap on her resume. Now, she took what work she could get. Cleaning was a job no one thanked her for, yet she took pride in her ability to care for her son and rebuild from scratch. But here's the thing about Lisa that no one realized: she never stopped being a problem solver. She didn't view cleaning as her identity. It was a stepping stone. And so, while others mocked her, she was silently piecing together something extraordinary. Every evening, as she scrubbed floors and wiped down desks, Lisa listened. Corporate gossip wasn't a secret to her. She heard every conversation the board members had, even fragmented ones. She observed the leadership style of Martin Steele, how he berated young interns, manipulated middle managers, and waved lavish bonuses in front of his loyal executives to secure their silence. What intrigued her most were the reports carelessly left on the glossy table and the unexplained discrepancies in the financial charts she couldn't help but glance at. By now, Lisa had learned the entire hierarchy of the company. More importantly, she recognized that Martin Steele's empire wasn't built on genius. It was a house of cards propped up by manipulation, deceit, and forcing others to bear the consequences of his decisions. What no one knew was that Lisa came alive the moment her cleaning shift ended. The muggy nights in her cramped apartment turned into meticulous investigations. Armed with an old laptop, budgeting calculators, and leftover stationery from her finance days, Lisa started connecting the dots. Her suspicions proved correct. Martin and his close circle were involved in shocking corruption. Fabricated bonuses, cooked books, cutting costs ruthlessly, leading to layoffs and exploitation to sustain their personal profits. Martin Steele's sharp suits and booming success came at the expense of honest workers who trusted him. For months, Lisa gathered more than suspicions, she gathered evidence. From overheard boardroom discussions to after-hours photocopying of documents left unattended, she created an airtight case. But simply having proof wasn't enough. To expose corruption on this scale, she needed the right moment, one where it couldn't be ignored or swept under the rug. The day finally arrived at the company's annual shareholder meeting. The conference room was at its finest, pristine tables, perfectly arranged water glasses, and polished executives preparing to present their inflated performance data. Martin Steele was at the peak of his arrogance, ready to charm investors with his false promises. Meanwhile, under their watchful noses, Lisa Morales held in her pocket the USB drive containing everything she had gathered over the months. Lisa walked into the room that evening as she always did, inconspicuous as usual. She didn't stand out, which is what she counted on. But instead of quietly leaving after her cleaning duties, she made a decision that would change everything. Standing near the projector, she interrupted the pre-meeting chatter, her voice steady and cutting through the air like a thunderclap. "Excuse me, Mr. Steele," she said. "I have something to show everyone." Several board members turned to her, their expressions puzzled, some even amused. After all, how could someone like her possibly have anything of substance to contribute? Steele's brow furrowed, irritation replacing his usual composure. "You're interrupting a meeting," he snapped, but Lisa ignored him. She inserted her USB into the laptop connected to the projector. At first, the screen displayed spreadsheets. "What's the meaning of?" one board member started, but then silence swept across the room as the data came to life. Email records scrolled across the screen detailing fraud operations, with Martin's name plastered all over the correspondence. Line graphs revealed manipulated numbers, while audio clips captured snippets of Martin's conversations where he openly admitted to deceitful practices. The shareholders gasped, jaws dropping as they grasped the scale of dishonesty. This can't be real," one whispered, his voice shaky. Steele, usually composed and in control, now looked like he'd seen a ghost. "Turn that off," he roared, slamming his fists on the table, his face blotchy with rage. But Lisa wasn't intimidated. She turned to address the shareholders, her voice steady but fueled by righteous anger. "For years, you trusted this company to protect your investments, to act in your best interests. What you've seen here is betrayal, corruption at the very top, orchestrated by the man you've put your faith in." The room erupted into chaos, with Steele shouting futile orders to stop her, and legal advisors rushing to contain the fallout. But it was too late. Lisa's evidence circulated immediately, and Steele was escorted out in disgrace. Within hours, investigations were launched, charges were pressed, and Lisa Morales had gone from a cleaning lady to the face of corporate accountability. The shockwaves of Lisa's revelations didn't just bring down Martin Steele and his cronies, it changed her life. With a reputation as a hero who exposed corruption, Lisa was offered a seat at the table, this time as a decision-maker overseeing reforms. No longer in the shadows, she carried the hopes of workers who had been silenced for too long. Lisa's story reminds us all of an important lesson. Never underestimate the quiet ones, the ones who work unseen, the ones you think are powerless. Because one day, they may just become unstoppable. If you found this story as awe-inspiring as we did, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more tales of extraordinary courage. And don't forget to share in the comments where you're watching from.